guys! So today's video topic is saving money and how I was able to save about $10,000 within 8 months. Now, this might not sound like a lot of money to some people, but in today's day and age, this is actually a lot for millennials. I mean, this isn't something I started doing right off the bat. This has been a process and something that I'm learning. So I'm proud of myself for saving this amount, even if it's not really that much. Now, the second step is creating a monthly budget for yourself. I've actually included a free budget template below. It's totally free. You don't even have to use that one if you don't want. There's tons of free templates for budgeting online. You could just Google them. You can also just do it on Excel or keep track on a Word doc, however you prefer. I know there's tons of apps, free apps, where you can keep track of your budget. But in this case, I am talking specifically about your monthly budget, so keep that in mind. Now, a monthly budget, you should have all your expenses listed as well as your total income. And that's the first step really, because you want to start off by seeing where are you spending your money? Where is the money coming in and where is the money coming out? The next step is getting specific about your goals. What do I mean by specific? You want to know exactly how much money you want to save per month. Have like a mini goal for the big goal. So I mentioned the big goal, let's just say you're trying to, you want to save to become wealthy in the long run. Now that's a really big goal. So you're going to have to start off with little goals to reach that big goal. Little goals would be something like you want to start off by saving maybe $50 every month, or $100 or $500, whatever you feel more comfortable with and whatever you can afford. Okay guys, my lighting is really bad. I was relying off natural sunlight, but now it's getting a little weird. Sorry guys, I had to move my camera because the light was just being really weird over here. Back to savings. Now, you want to keep in mind that you do have necessities. You don't want to, sometimes you always, especially when you're just starting out, you have this urge to just put as much money as possible to save, or the opposite. You don't really want to start off with that, but then you end up having too much leftover money and you end up spending it on stuff you don't need. So, to avoid doing that, you want to write down your necessities. Food, transportation, clothing, shelter, stuff that you actually need to survive. So you want to consider your necessities. You don't want to leave yourself completely broke and not have any money for food, but you also don't want to make yourself or give yourself enough room where you're tempted to spend more money than you really should be. Alright, now to the actual saving part. For me, what's worked the best, and I think what's been most effective so far, is setting up an automatic withdrawal. Setting up automatic withdrawals is super helpful because it's already set in case you forget, or maybe you just have so many things on your mind that you may want to change it here and there, or be tempted not to withdraw more money than you had originally planned. Personally, about 30 to 40% of my total income does get distributed to other accounts as part of my automatic withdrawal. Now, a tip for this is to set up your automatic withdrawal on the same day that you get paid. This is super important. I mean, I did have it set to where it was just like a random day of the month. And the bad thing here is, say you get your paycheck, you think you have more money than you actually have. So you kind of, I don't want to say, basically trick yourself into believing you actually have less. And an easier way to do that is to have your automatic withdrawals set to the day you get paid. That way, when it happens all in one day, you know once that withdrawal has taken place, you know exactly how much money you have left over and work off that. Friendly reminder, even though I said that personally I distribute about 30 to 40% of my income, that's just me. That doesn't mean you need to do that. So just reminder to only allocate the percentage that you can actually afford. Then you're left with a certain percentage or the leftover money, and you can spend that however you want. Hopefully, again, that's for necessities. Try not to overspend on things you don't need or that would just be a waste. Usually those items end up in the landfill anyways, so you would be helping out the planet too by maybe limiting your buying of actual products, or maybe buying out, it's a lot of plastic, and well, I'll get into that later. So our next tip for saving: cutting back on food. I love food, but it's also one of the most depreciating assets you can have. I mean, you eat the food and then it's gone, and then there's no value there anymore. So, and I know a lot of people have mentioned this isn't something new. Like, of course, don't eat out, buy your own food at the grocery store. Although grocery shopping can be expensive if you don't do it right. If you're shopping at grocery stores that are like the high-end grocery stores, or maybe you buy more food than you actually would eat and then it ends up going bad, that's also a way to just end up wasting more money than saving money. But I still do stand by the whole avoid eating out. When you're eating out, you're probably gonna buy a really expensive meal on the menu because it looks good, it sounds good, you have to tip, and you'll probably get a drink. I know I love happy hours with my friends. In the past, it was something that I didn't really think about too much until I had my monthly budget sheet and I could see how much I was spending just on drinks. So that's just a little tip there. I would recommend maybe just getting water. I know that sounds so simple. Maybe that's not even a tip. It is actually water. I mean, it's a win-win situation because one, water is healthier anyways than any of the other drinks you could have gotten. And two, it's free. I mean, well, if you get tap water, if you get one of those bougie water bottles, then, I mean, there we only have a one-side win, not a win-win. Does that make sense? One-sided win? Still, get groceries. Now, the next thing I would cut back on is if you're living in an apartment or house, I would recommend getting a roommate. That's going to cut your cost in like half. That's great, and you have someone to hang out with unless you don't like them. Now, if you already have a roommate, then there are other ways to cut your costs. You can also try cutting back on other costs like your internet provider. Clothing. I feel like I'm not going to represent the fashion community in the best way, and I absolutely love the fashion community. I love watching like YouTube videos on styling and everything, but I would say stay away from online shopping and from expensive stores and brands if you're trying to save money. I would say go to the thrift shop. I love thrift shops. I think you find really cool items there. I've found really cool vintage clothing. I do recommend it because it's going to be cheaper. It's usually really cool, like stuff you can't find anywhere else. And maybe it's just like in my head, but I feel like it's unique. Like it's a clothing item, maybe it's super old that they don't, even make it anymore. And it's like just one, like this is the only shirt, that's in the thrift shop that looks like this. And it like
makes you feel special and it feels unique.
Maybe you might not feel the same way. But I do think thrift shopping is fun. It definitely helps you save money. And not to mention, you're recycling clothing. Like, that's great. Less things in the landfill. A lot of people throw away their clothes instead of donating it, and it ends up in the landfill. So you are doing something good for the planet. This doesn't really fall in the clothing. I guess this would go in the food section. But I recommend also using reusable water bottles. Just constantly buying bottles in general of anything plastic. One, it's bad for the environment, which sucks, and two, you're buying it, so you're spending money. And that includes Starbucks cups. They do allow you to buy their reusable, there's like a reusable Starbucks like cup thing. You can always get one of those, reuse it, instead of constantly buying a regular Starbucks drink in plastic. All right, guys, now transportation. So transportation's a little tough. I always am a big fan of public transportation. However, I am guilty of not using public transportation currently. I do use my own car for various reasons. It's just not, public transportation isn't easily accessible where I live. And also it's just, our California public transportation still needs some work, I would say, but it's just not easily accessible to where I live and to where I need to get to. But if it is available for you, I definitely recommend it. If you live really close to your work, I would recommend riding your bike. Another issue right now, obviously we're in a pandemic, so I wouldn't suggest maybe being around too many people. I know public transportation kind of forces you to be with people, so I understand that's also another reason why maybe at this moment, at this point in time, maybe it may not be good to do that. But I'm just speaking in general. If we were outside of the pandemic, that's something I would recommend, is public transportation. or just riding your bike. There, you don't have to really be around people. Carpooling, I was going to recommend carpooling as well. Again, during our times right now in this pandemic, carpooling wouldn't be my go-to right now, but hopefully, COVID will go away, and when it does, that's what I would recommend, carpooling. There are tons of apps that can help you find people to carpool with. Like, say none of your friends are going, they don't work where you work, or they're not going to where you're going. There are apps like Waze, which is it's a maps app, and that app is great because you can also find people who are going to the same place that you're going, and it kind of like helps bring you together to carpool. I have a lot of friends who use that, and they've had great experiences with it. Obviously, you want to be safe. You don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation. Probably wouldn't do it like at night, and I would just be really careful using those apps. Alright guys, so my last and final suggestion and advice for saving would be to invest in your health. So I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting what I'm trying to say. I think investments is for the purpose of getting a return in the long run. Sometimes there's short-term returns as well. But in this case, I think investing in your health is actually, in a way, saving, because healthcare and medical bills in general are skyrocketing. And America is known to have very expensive healthcare. So to avoid these expensive medical bills, I would recommend taking preventative measures. So you actually end up saving money in the long run by investing in your health now. Because like I said, if you're young and healthy, it's probably not something on your mind right now and you're not really thinking about it, but it will eventually come back to bite you in the butt later in life if you don't take care of yourself. So what I mean by this is going to the gym. There are $10 memberships. Working out outside, if you don't even want to do $10, that's totally fine. I totally respect that. That is $10 of every month. I would recommend going for a run outside, maybe doing at-home workouts and yoga exercises that you can do. There are tons of free videos on YouTube that you can use, so you don't even have to spend money on like paying for some online program. It's totally free on YouTube. So I definitely recommend doing that. Buying healthier food, if you are going to go grocery shopping and you choose not to eat out, if you do choose to eat out, try to pick the healthier options, and then getting your free tap water. That would be cheaper too. I think just focusing on what you put in your body and how you treat your body is super important. You're going to be happier and you're going to feel good in the process of doing this, and in the long run you'll thank yourself as well. So it really is another win-win situation. It is an investment. I like to think of anything that goes towards your health as a good investment, and it's kind of like there's always a return. In this case, there is no risk. I know in general there are investments like in real estate or stocks. There is that chance that by investing you could end up losing money. When you invest in your health, you're guaranteed to have a return. There is always a return. You would never work out and then regret the workout. So I definitely recommend just taking the time to invest your time, to invest your money. I would say maybe save $10 for the monthly, or nothing. You can end up just doing $0 and just doing at-home workouts. And in the long run, you'll see a great return because you won't have to worry. Hopefully, there are other things that can occur, but for the most part, you're more likely to have a healthier lifestyle and therefore not have to worry as much about future health care and medical bills. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this helps you. Again, I am not an expert in this. I'm just some random girl on YouTube that you are watching right now, and I did study business economics in college, but I didn't study finance or anything like that, so definitely not an expert. This is simply things that I've learned given the resources that I have and the amazing mentors that I have, and I just thought, I don't want to keep this information to myself. I think it would be great to share it with those who maybe aren't fortunate enough to have good mentors and good examples, or just people you look up to. So I hope that I can share this information. And also it's a good way, like if I'm going to make mistakes, I already know I'm still learning, I'm still figuring this out. If I can make a mistake and you learn from it, I am obviously gonna have to learn from it, But if you can learn from my mistake without having to make the mistake, great, then I did my job. Thank you again for watching this, and don't forget to like and subscribe below. Thank you. See you next time. Also, make sure to leave any suggestions that you might have in the comments below.